Hey guys, it's your girl Miss Annie J, and today I am going to be talking about something a little bit off topic from what you are used to hearing from me: how to improve your credit score and get yourself mortgage ready. Okay, so firstly, the reason why I am talking about this today is because if you did not grow up in a household where credit was fully understood, like myself, my parents came here as immigrants. They didn't know the system, so I wasn't taught this information from them. I actually learned this information as I grew up in the UK system, and I've spoken about these sort of things to people in my life that I know to help them out, because a lot of people just aren't aware, and it just seems to be quite common in the Black community specifically. I mean, I can't speak on other communities because I don't know. So let's get started with credit cards. Credit cards are not a bad thing. They are actually kind of a necessary evil, and not necessarily evil because they can be very helpful to have. If you do have a credit card already, if you can afford to clear off the balance at the end of each month, then definitely do so. Trying not to rack up debt is the aim, but if you do rack up debt, then I'm going to explain how you can best utilize what you have and change certain things that you do to make sure that it doesn't negatively impact your credit score. This might be a given, it might not, but always try and make sure that you are using less than 25% of your total available credit. And this is in regards to if you are not able to financially clear your credit card in full on a monthly basis. Always try and pay more than the minimum payments per month, because it will cost you less in interest over time, unless you are on an interest-free plan for a certain period, which is definitely the best option. If you do have a big balance that you intend to clear over time, you want to pay over and above, because otherwise the interest does rack up and you will end up paying way more back to the credit lender in the long run than you could have if you were just overpaying as often as possible. Make sure you never miss a payment. This is vital. If you do not catch anything else I am saying about credit cards today, this is the most important thing to take note of. Never miss a credit card payment. If you do not have a direct debit set up, set a direct debit up, because if you're relying on your memory, or you're relying on the fact that they will send you a statement balance, it may not necessarily be helpful. You may end up missing it. You could jeopardize your credit. Make sure you're making use of your app. Check in regularly. Most credit lenders have apps available now, so you can keep an eye on your balance. Make sure that you are going to make payment at the right payment date. Just keep on top of it. And here is a hint for anyone who has good credit currently, but you also have credit card debt. If you are overutilizing your usage, using let's say 60-70% of your balance, what is actually helpful and handy to do, and this depends on what your spending habits are like, if you trust yourself enough, and that is the only way that I would recommend this. If you have a credit card, for example, a balance of £3,000, and you are currently using £2,700, so you are almost at capacity of your total available balance, and you have good credit, it is quite a good idea to open another credit card where, let's say for example, you get another £3,000 credit card, not for you to spend. You're just opening it and keeping it there. What that will do is increase your total available balance, and then your total usage will actually go down. 2,700 of £3,000, that's over 80% usage, thereabouts. If you then open another credit card at an additional £3,000, you are now using less than 50% of your total available usage. I hope that makes sense, but that is the reason why they say sometimes it's actually good to open additional credit cards, as long as you do not go and start spending on it. It is not for that purpose. Don't go and get it and then start going on a spending spree. That is counterproductive. The whole purpose is to get yourself in a better place in terms of your credit usage and your limit and your credit score. If you have an existing loan or mortgage, keep up with your repayments. It is absolutely expedient. Do not miss any payments. If you miss any payments, you are jeopardizing your credit score and possibly, or most likely, impacting your ability to be able to get credit in the future, especially if you need credit at a crucial time in life, an emergency arises, and now because you had a late payment, you are now not able to access further credit products. If you are going through hardship, circumstances change, be sure to contact the lender immediately, let them know and see what they can help you do so as to avoid it negatively impacting your credit score. Overdrafts are facilities that are like a buffer. Guys, They are not intended for long-term use. If you have a big overdraft, or even if you have a little overdraft, the purpose of your overdraft is not for you to go and start balling. The purpose of your overdraft is like a safety net. So if, for example, you have a payment that comes out of your account that you did not remember, the overdraft is meant to be that safety net. So when that payment is taken, that creditor can still get paid, and then it doesn't impact your credit score negatively. As soon as you're able to, make sure you clear the overdraft minus balance. Do not live in your overdraft. That is not the intended use. That your account is constantly in minus. If you are looking to purchase a home in the future and you constantly live in your overdraft, mortgage lenders are not going to view it so favorably. You can have someone with excellent credit, obviously they can get a good mortgage, and you can have someone with average credit and they can still get a mortgage. But the type of rate that you are offered by the mortgage lender is dependent on so many various factors, and that is where all these little things play into what you may be offered. For example, if you constantly live in your overdraft, your mortgage lender are going to go through all of your documentation with pretty much a fine-tooth comb, and based on their findings they will then decide A, if they're going to lend to you, and B, if they are going to lend to you, what rate they are going to offer you. So that is why all of these little things are important to keep in check. Don't just think, it's whatever, I've got this, I can do what I want. No, this stuff is going to have an impact on you possibly in the future, so you want to be able to manage it as best as you can. If you're planning to buy a home, make sure you set yourself some goals in terms of your savings for a deposit and what you're trying to achieve. If it means you've got to cut back on spending and things like that to be able to achieve that goal, then obviously do that so that you can save up the required amount of deposit you need to purchase your property. Now, I am not ageist, okay? So please do not think that this comment is against people who are older, but it's just an important thing to know. As you get older, the mortgage term that you can be offered will start to minimize, because typically mortgage lenders do not want your mortgage term to exceed when you may possibly retire from employment. That said, if you are, for example, 60, let's say on average, the retirement age in the UK is approximately 70. That means the mortgage lender are not really going to want to give you a mortgage term that is more than 10 years. And if that is the case, it means whatever you're offered, your mortgage repayments are going to be excessively expensive, because unlike somebody who might have a 30-year mortgage term, which means that their monthly repayments will be a heck of a lot less than somebody who has a mortgage repayment set up across a 10-year period. So the longer you leave it, the slimmer your mortgage term will get. And you don't want that. Make sure you're saving. If you leave it way too long, it will get to the point where you may not actually be that mortgageable. And then the mortgage lender will say they want you to put down this amount of deposit and they can top it up. Now, the amount of deposit they're going to ask you to put down is going to be enormous. That is why I'm saying the sooner you crack on and get saving, the better. The length of mortgage term you will be offered will also be more favorable. Avoid getting into IVA'S or CCJ'S. These will hurt your credit catastrophically. They are things that you want to avoid at all costs. IVA'S are individual voluntary arrangements where you agree to pay outstanding debt by regular affordable payments. They are not looked on favorably by lenders, and even once you've cleared them, it could be an additional 3 years before you might be able to satisfy lender requirements. CCJ'S are county court judgments where a creditor has tried to contact you about an outstanding debt and they have been unsuccessful, so they've now taken it to court, who have formally decided that you owe this money. CCJ'S can last on your credit for 6 years. Even if you were to clear it ASAP, doesn't matter, it stays on your credit record for 6 years, which is a long time. And lender dependent, even after you've satisfied and cleared it, a lender might still want there to be like a further year before they might consider lending to you. Avoid CCJ'S and IVA'S as much as humanly possible. Another thing to note, if you can avoid being a guarantor for somebody, please definitely avoid that, unless you have complete trust in the fact that they are going to continue their payments and it is affordable for you should they fall short of being able to make the required payments. I would suggest not being a guarantor, because if things go left and you are in a position where you also cannot assist, that is two bunch of people's credit just gone down the drain. You have to think, if somebody needs a guarantor, what is the reason why they need a guarantor in the first place? Lastly, when it comes to mortgage lenders, it is not one size fits all. A lot of mortgage lenders can tailor deals for different people in different circumstances. They don't just look at everyone on the same wavelength. They will look at various different factors, and that is what they will base their offer to you on. So that is why it's important to make sure that you are keeping up your repayments, you are not overspending on credit cards, and if you do have balances, you clear them. If you have an overdraft, don't overuse it, and just make sure that you are keeping your finances in check into your accounts regularly, see what's happening, make sure there's not anything that you don't recognize. Credit fraud is real. If you haven't signed up with a credit referencing agency, I would strongly suggest that you do so. It will be beneficial to you. Guys, I just thought that I would share that information because I have been through that type of journey myself. These are things, like I said, I have learned over time, and I thought I would share specifically also for the Black community because so many of us just are not taught these things during our upbringing. So if you are new to my channel, please do stick around. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are a veteran, guys, I have got love for you. I know this topic is so different to the things I normally talk about, but I do like to share anything that I have experienced in that I feel might be useful to other people. I will be back again in a couple of weeks' time, probably to talk about something else to do with finances, depending on if you guys found this helpful. But in the meantime, guys, make sure you take care of yourself. It's your girl, Miss Annie J, and until next time, bye.